Prime Minister Mark Carney has sprung a surprise at the start of his multi-country tour of Europe. He's in Ukraine today, a stop previously not listed on his itinerary. His visit comes at a key moment in Ukraine's war with Russia as peace efforts sputter. And Moscow claims its forces have taken control of 2 more communities on the eastern front line.
Пані та панове, прем'єр-міністр Канади Марк Карні.
In Kiev, Carney joined a ceremony marking Ukraine's 34th anniversary of independence. He pledged Canada's ongoing commitment to the Ukrainian war effort, unveiling more details of a recently announced military and financial aid package worth $2 billion. Alongside Ukraine's president and first lady, Carney also laid a wreath in honor of soldiers who have died in the fight against Russia and Russian separatists since 2014. The 2 leaders also signed agreements. Carney later telling the media conference he isn't ruling out deploying Canadian troops to Ukraine.
We are working through with our allies in the Coalition of the Willing and with Ukraine the modalities of those security guarantees on the land, in the air, and the sea, and I would not exclude the presence of troops. Yeah.
Let's bring in the CBC's Briar Stewart. She's in Kyiv right now. Briar, great to have you there. Can you break down from your perspective the significance of this visit?
Well, it's significant and also highly symbolic. I mean, this is a national holiday in Ukraine. It's when Ukrainians are commemorating their independence. And so to have a world leader, Prime Minister Mark Carney, come here and to participate in a very public ceremony in Sofia Square, it was very unusual. I mean, this is a country that is still under martial law because of the security threats. Large gatherings are supposed to be prohibited, but in that square, and I was down there earlier today, there were hundreds of people, including military officials, their families, and dignitaries from various embassies. Now, they had their speeches that they delivered in the square, and later in the afternoon, they had a press conference, and Prime Minister Carney outlined and gave a little bit more specifics to previous funding that Canada had committed. So back in June at the G7 summit, Canada said it would commit $2 billion to Ukraine. Well, just over half of that is going to go to military supplies, which Ukraine urgently needs now. So things like ammunition, armored vehicles, drones. Canada has also announced that it's going to be having a joint drone production program with Ukrainian companies. That will involve Canadian manufacturers and Ukrainian companies working together to produce drones. Carney and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy were asked about the peace talks and the ongoing conversation around security guarantees if there is a ceasefire. Now, the U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he wants there to be some kind of progress within the next 2 weeks. He wants the leader of Russia and the leader of Ukraine to sit down together. But Russia appears really unwilling at this moment. And when it comes to security guarantees in the event of a ceasefire, Russia had said that it doesn't want any kind of NATO-backed troops on the ground, no troops from Europe. Carney said he wouldn't rule out Canadian troops taking part, but I did ask him just how likely a ceasefire could be given the responses and the reaction that we're hearing from Russia. Here's some of his answer.
All of this in real time, as you ask your question, is under discussion about the specificities and the modalities. But it's not the choice of Russia how the future sovereignty, independence, liberty of Ukraine is guaranteed. It's the choice of Ukraine and the decisions of the partners.
Well, Ukraine and its allies, including Canada, are adamant that Russia can't dictate the terms of any truce. This is, of course, a negotiation. And the issue now is that both sides are very, very far apart. Russia seems to be unmoved from its original goals and its original demands. So it is very hard to see at this point just how any kind of settlement could be reached soon.
And Briar, I know you've been out speaking with those most affected by all of this. What are you hearing from Ukrainians?
Well, when I was down at the square first thing this morning, there's that ceremony going on, and just outside of the security perimeter, there was a woman whose relative was being honored because he was killed in Russia's invasion, and she grew very emotional during the ceremony. And I spoke to her briefly. I asked her, what it meant for her to see international support. She said she felt very grateful. Obviously, it was a very moving thing to have her relative honored, but she also talked about just the exhaustion of living through more than 3.5 years of war, the loss that people are dealing with. We know soldiers are being killed every day, and of course civilians as well. And then just the fear that people are living in. In Kyiv here, it has been quite quiet over the last couple of days, but we know this summer that this city, the capital, has experienced some of the largest drone attacks of the war. People who used to hear the air raid alarm and would lie in their bed, go back to sleep, are now heading down to the shelters. The metro stations are full. Parkades in apartment buildings are full, because there is a real fear here, just because of how Russia has ramped up the strikes. As I said, it has been quiet here for the last couple of days, but people are just so exhausted of what they've been living through. And as I said, these peace talks really seem to have stalled. There doesn't seem to be a lot of momentum, a lot of diplomatic talks, certainly, but there's really doesn't seem to be a lot of progress to actually securing some kind of truce.
Briar, really appreciate your reporting for us there. That's the CBC's Briar Stewart reporting in Kyiv.